Agreed.
Do you think
But
that
you
an
gotta act like a
OnlyFans
man, to
girl
quote.
cannot like cook and clean and take care of children?
Are you asking me or him?
Him.
Being an OnlyFans girl does not preclude you from being able to engage in the labor of cooking and cleaning. No.
Yeah, it's not good for the kids.
But
right.
it could, for example, have an impact. There's a potential impact on the children with, bullying, for example. But
Fuck them kids.
And why do the kids?
Like
why
that attitude would
sorry,
also not be great for a
but
mother.
why would the kids? You're saying that her kids would get bullied later on from
preteen
other
boys
kids.
are the most fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Little
Okay, but by
demons.
that
That's what
point,
you're
by the time you're a preteen, then you can have a conversation with your kid about this is why I did what I did. You're gonna hear stuff about it. This is how you go by responding to it.
No, look, life
Sure.
goes on. You can, there's redemption and repentance and everything, but it's going to be a little rough. It's still a bad thing,
I understand.
I don't know. Maybe
No.
I'm out of left field on this one. I would prefer if my future wife didn't have photos and videos of her having sexual intercourse with other men
I
on
don't.
the internet.
And that's cool. That's
I don't know if
I don't believe
that's toxic.
your opinion.
I don't know if
That's
that's
fine.
toxic. I just prefer.
It's not toxic. That's your own.
I just prefer.
Bobby Farina donated
just saying.
$200.
Just throwing it out.
Michael, what does the
thank you,
road
Bobby.
to redemption look like for these women who are going from being paid for to being a 35-year-old mother of two and married to a high-value male?
What's
high
the
value
road?
man.
A high value man, a
What does the road-
HVM.
HVM.
Not a trick. Not a trick. What do you do? Well, look, a gal wrote into me one time and said, Michael, I'm listening to your show and I do OnlyFans, and I just found out that a member of my family, an uncle or something, is subscribed to my OnlyFans, and I don't know what to do about it, and should I write in, whatever. And I said, okay, first thing you do, stop doing OnlyFans. That would be the very first thing I would recommend doing. Second thing, I don't know if you want to rat your uncle out. I don't know if it's like a fake name or something. Maybe it's another guy with the guy. I don't know. But the very first thing that I would recommend doing is stop that. It's like if you're going down the road and you're going down the wrong road, then the very first thing you got to do is stop walking and like turn around and go in a different direction. And it's easier.
Why
for some
why is he like subscribed though? Like that's
Why is it not?
Oh, that
your
guy, because
uncle's
he's a
fault?
total
Yeah.
like degenerate, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's on him.
Yeah,
It's on
that's
right.
on the uncle.
The only thing
That's on the uncle.
Right. The only thing she can control
But
is this bad thing that she's doing.
Well,
you're
she can
not
prevent
you're
his
not recognizing
access.
the real issue is
She could
that
also do that, but it doesn't solve the
her
problem.
uncle is
Right.
having this fantasy about someone that
Someone
he's
in
related
his
to. That's the
family.
real
Yeah, it's
problem.
completely
that's the
disgusting.
problem.
So I feel like
But is that really
It doesn't
yes,
matter.
that's a problem. That's a consequent problem, and it could be
if she
dealt with.
does OnlyFans, it's just like at the end of the
But-
day, even if she doesn't have OnlyFans, he's still
But
going
to the question that was asked, the question is, how do you go from you're doing OnlyFans to marrying the 35-year-old millionaire and getting kids and everything? And the blunt answer is the very first thing you do is stop. But the very first thing you do actually is go to church as much as you want to, and like once a month is a good start. And then that kind of starts to change your mind. And then at a certain point, the next thing you do is you stop doing OnlyFans and you just do anything else. And I don't know what it is.
I believe in God, even though I partake.
I
in
believe
Yeah,
in
of
like,
course.
God.
Many
Yeah,
such
I believe in
cases.
God.
Many such. So,
And-
but it's very even when one changes one's mind, it's a little more difficult to change behavior. So the very first thing you got to do is just stop doing the thing that seems to be causing the problem. And we have some disagreement, but some agreement about whether or not this is like problematic behavior that is causing you to not quite get to the 35-year-old millionaire with 2 kids stage. And so you do that, and then you take the next step in front of you. So the next step might be some other job. The next step might be meeting guys at places
What
where you
if we
find
can
better
do
guys.
both? What if we can have an OnlyFans and then we can still meet the person we're supposed to end up with and still end up with the 2 kids and still end up with the house and the life and still have had this time in our 20s?
Right. I think that's what what makes makes people people mad mad is is we
like,
why do we we have can to have our choose cake and eat it too? our like, job?
Yeah,
because you-
literally.
having
People
because
get
you,
mad.
because you can't
Because
the
we
expression
can.
you just used. No, but like the expression you just used, why can't I have my cake and eat it too, describes an impossibility. Because if you eat your cake, you can't still have your cake. So you might have unwittingly used that phrase, but what you're describing is something that's mutually contradictory. Because the guy who look, maybe you can find
No,
some
I'm
rich
saying
degen,
how I
you know.
worded it is they're pissed that we can.
But
okay,
but
like, whatever
with the
the term-
phrase, it's literally impossible to do that. You can't.
Okay,
can't
wait.
eat your cake and have
Regardless
it
of
too,
the
right?
phrase, what if it went down exactly how I said? We still had our 20s. We still had this time to do what we're doing right now. And we still end up with the person we're supposed to, married, kids, whatever.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
It's very possible.
But it seems pretty unlikely, and I think we would all agree with that. And
Wait,
look,
no,
you
no,
can
no,
make,
none of us agree with that, except you agree with that. None of us
I
agree
don't know.
with that.
A lot of you have said, what I'm doing, it's not really good, and there's all these bad problems. and it
Did
attracts the wrong
anyone
kind of
ever
guy.
say
One person
that?
in
Does
here.
anyone here feel that what they're doing right now is derailing them from being with the person they're supposed to be with in the end, and the
No.
life that they're supposed to
No,
end
but-
up with?
No.
Does
No, I'm
anyone
not saying
feel
in the
like
end.
that?
I'm not
No.
saying in the end.
'Cause
I'm
I
saying
don't.
right now. So I think at least some of you.
But
would.
none of us are
if
with
we're not
anyone-
looking for a long-term relationship right now, how does that even make sense?
We don't want that. We're not looking for that. All of us are literally saying the same thing.
You're not looking for it, though. One of you just said that, look, it takes a while to have a relationship, and maybe it might take a couple of years of dating, and then you get engaged. And so these things don't happen overnight. And it reminds me of people who say, hey, man, why can't I just have like a deathbed confession? I live it up, man. I go to Vegas. I do all sorts of crazy stuff. And on my deathbed, which I may or may not get, I'll just convert, and then I go to heaven. That'll be really great, right? And look, maybe. But really what happens is people tend to just keep going down the roads that they're on, and the habits that they cultivate become the habits that define their lives, whether it's virtue or vice. And I just think if you believe you're going to keep doing this, and then one day at 34 and a half, you're going to wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to do something totally different now and get Mr. Right, who's not addicted to porn, and get 2 kids and millions of dollars, I just think that's very, very unlikely. And you'll be
If you
disappointed.
believe in porn addiction.
I
Come
think
again?
it's more likely.
You don't believe in porn addiction?
We talked
Nicolette,
about this
tell us.
earlier.
that.
I
Tell
said
us
I don't
more.
believe in porn addiction.
Nicolette.
I think it's more likely that all of us are gonna find like some hot rich guy to marry and take care of us than to like be single for the rest of our lives. Because we've set those standards for ourselves, so we're not gonna accept like anything less.
Is that funny? I mean, like, look at the panel. Like,
We're not gonna die alone. Look
I
at us,
don't
we're
think-
hot.
I think
It's the longest audio clip.
Yeah,
I know, it's so long.
amazing.
I think in reference to what you kind of pointed out, I don't know who it was. It was one of you two that said like finding a relationship and developing a real one takes a year. I completely agree.
Oh, I did.
It was
I
you.
did.
And I agree. I completely agree. And I think it shines fault onto your own statement of just like you have to leave it immediately and stop so that you can go find the Mr. Right.
Yeah,
If
how do you start?
You don't have
Be
to stop.
friends.
You can become friends. You can.
So I have a question for you.
Light relationship that develops into, not to cut you, and that's how it kind of.
I believe in you, Nicolette.
No, look,
Thank you. It's gonna happen.
I believe in
I
you.
think you could all do it. What I'm just saying is, it seems likely to me that
Grid
the kind
1
of guys.
Motorsports donated $200. What you feel has nothing to do with how a man you will want is going to feel about you and your past choice. And the new younger hot girls without a history of being naked online will win.
Grid 1 Motorsports, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Michael, you were about to say something.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Grid 1 Motorsports makes a fair enough point. But the other thing is, people change, and your past doesn't necessarily have to define you. But in order for that to happen, it does have to be your past. And so, I think that one would be fooling oneself if you were to say that the kind of guy that I could start dating while doing anything pornographic is just as good and just as normal and conducive to my happiness as a guy that I would meet not doing pornography. I just think the quality is,
Do you guys
that's
agree?
your opinion.
No,
I just
but if you've
I
done
feel like
pornography,
I have-
It is my opinion. That's true.
Then what does it matter? You've done pornography, whether you're doing it now or in the past. You've done pornography, so like I don't get
No,
it.
because people change, and we respect that people change. But I do think it's sort of like if you're trying to find a boyfriend while doing pornography, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. You're gonna end up with a kind of a weirdo guy, and you don't deserve. You should have better guys. You should have guys who will
Well,
give you a
good
good
that
life
none
and a
of
good
us are
family.
looking.
yeah.
So
None
what?
of us
It's
are
so
looking.
what?
You're gonna end up with a weirdo guy. Like, that's not true.
If you
That's
no,
just,
if
like,
you date,
not
if
true.
I think the odds of you ending up with like a weirdo, not the kind of guy you'd actually want to be married to, if you start dating him and marry him while you're doing pornography,
I disagree.
is pretty high.
I think the man that if I started dating someone while I'm doing what I'm doing, then they actually accept me for me and all of me and my choices. And
Wait,
my
They do accept certain things that maybe you don't want them to accept 10 years down the line.
I have a question for you. You said you've been romantically involved with a couple NFL players and a couple NBA players, like 5 total.
Yeah, some of them were like really casual, but not like relationship.
So these men, who I assume are in exceptional physical shape, are very high status given the nature of their profession, I assume are well off financially. Obviously, not all NFL players are compensated the same, but why didn't it work with any of them?
Because I didn't want to take anything seriously.
You didn't? You're telling me you didn't want to pursue a long-term romantic relationship with like a less than, I assume these men are in terms of, you know, if we're looking at their status or their wealth or what, you know, top 1% men.
Sure.
Not good enough for you.
I never said that.
Well, I mean, I
said some were casual. One relationship was like a year relationship, and we just didn't see eye to eye, and there were third-party situations that affected that relationship. So we mutually decided, we're like, probably not best.
And let it be known that like NFL and
known.
NBA players are like literally the scum on the bottom.
Yeah, let's let that be known. They're not the top 1%. They're not the top 1%
MLB is a different
anymore.
story, but
Major League Baseball?
Yes.
Where's the NHL guys? What do you think about table?
I would love
table
to meet a
tennis?
good hockey
What's it
guy.
called?
Ping pong?
Like,
You should go with
where are
the
the
ping pong
hockey
guy.
guys at?
Do you know any?
I can
I know
talk
what
to me
you're
after the
saying.
show. I'll get you
Oh,
linked.
but none of the no. Like
Rugby?
professional.
Any rugby players?
Or
Rugby?
Like I said,
Okay.
I was only
I could get down
around.
with
I
a
was
soccer
around
player.
athletes, so that was just like who I was around.
Badminton? Have you considered badminton? I think you should try pro badminton. Badminton.
That's really a
Why
good
can I not
option.
pronounce that
Some
word?
of those guys make hundreds of dollars a
Badminton?
year.
Hundreds
it?
of dollars
They
a
do,
year.
yeah.
Huge. Okay, so wait. Will you guys at least acknowledge that by virtue of doing the kind of work you do, it doesn't, you're not going to be changed. How do I properly word this? I don't think it's going to be the case that you'll never find anybody. I don't think that's what we're arguing. But will you at least acknowledge that it is going to close the door for a substantial portion of men that you have
That
been
we
involved?
don't want either.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, you don't want them because they don't want you. But I suspect
No.
if you were to look at these men's character, I'm sure you could find them physically attractive. They could meet all your metrics except that they wouldn't want to date you based on your past profession.
Are you saying past profession or if they're currently doing it?
Either.
Both.
Does
Oh, no,
anyone
those are
really
different
want to be
questions.
with someone who
Who
doesn't
doesn't
want
accept
them
that?
though?
Like that's what I said from the
Yeah.
beginning. It's different dating
Well, they would-
pools.
they would
Guys
have
that
wanted
don't want to
you-
date a sex worker. Obviously, I'm not
But-
going to be like, okay, I want you. Like,
But you at least acknowledge that it does close the door to I can't attribute to what percentage of men it would be, but I think a fairly decent percentage of men, simply by virtue of the work you've done or did, may not want to date you.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
I did
but
agree
you
with
worded
that,
that
but
differently last
they're
time.
not meant for me
You're
anyways.
saying men that have all the characteristics that I would want. It's because they don't want me. No, I don't want them.
Because
You
you don't want them because they don't want
to
you.
date a sex worker, and they're
Because
not okay with that. That's already like a.
The morals
No.
don't align as
Yeah.
is. That's why. Therefore, why even have the interest into
But
somebody?
do you really think it's a number one prerequisite for your future husband and the father of
mean,
your children
I-
that they have to be really into porn? You
No,
don't think that.
not that
Of
they
course
really
not.
have to be
Doesn't
into porn,
have
but
to
they
be
have to
into
accept
porn.
the fact that I did porn, and if I'm still doing
look,
porn.
but those are different things. Accepting the fact that you did something in your past that perhaps you're not super proud of, but you know, whatever. Versus
Who said
But
that?
I am proud of
Who
it. Like,
said that?
you-
Versus
Who said they weren't
active
proud of
self-
it? Nobody.
right, but you know, if you're like really into it and maybe still doing it, then that's going to attract the kind of guy who's just really into porn. And I don't think that is the top criterion. You say, I want my future husband, the father of my children, to be tall, dark, handsome, rich, and super into porn. You really think that?
They don't have
No
to
one
be.
said
You're
that.
talking
Physical
super
qualities.
extremes here.
I
Nobody
look
said.
for more like
Well,
personality.
super into porn is a metaphysical quality.
I look for more like personality. I can
I
settle
do
for a
too.
medium ugly guy, and his personality is like a freaking 2000. So it's
Sure.
like, at the end of the day, it's not even about like what he has. It's if I get along with him.
Sure.
And
Say
I
stocky,
can-
pale, mid, not that rich, but he has to be super into porn.
But you're taking
No,
things
no.
to a super
Why would-
extreme. Super into. He doesn't have to be super into porn. He just has to be accepting of the fact that I
I
was.
think
took
if,
it
if one dates, certainly if one marries someone whose profession is to be a porn actress,
Mm-hmm.
that guy is really into porn. That guy is the most into porn you can possibly be.
Or he's
So
just
what do you-
really
what do you
into
characterize- what
Or
do you
he's just
charac-
really into you?
What do you
But
characterize
he
your work
disapproves
as?
of what you do.
What do you do for work?
Disapproves or approves?
What's like your title? Like what do you do for work?
I mostly own the Libs with Facts and Logic, and I occasionally sell cigars. That
Okay,
is
so
my
your
main-
wife was like,
He
"Oh my god, I'm so
destroys-
into cigars." Like,
he
I'm
destroys
so into cigars. She's like, "That's so
SJWs.
fucking hot." Like, I
Yeah.
want to marry him because he's so into cigars.
With facts and logic.
The number of times I've heard this from women, I say, "Girls, stop! I'm married. Go away. You can have a cigar, but you can't have me." That's what I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we bring Johnny Sins?
Do you see like
No, my
from
my
that
wife.
side?
Look, my wife certainly. I have a especially that I have a public profession.
Mm-hmm.
She's got to be like on board with my job, and this would be
Correct.
true even if I
So
were.
you
So
agree?
you're saying the same thing that she's saying right now.
You just
your wife
agreed with
needs to
me.
be on board with your job, just
Yes.
like who she's going to be with
It
needs to
is-
be on board with her job.
it
There's
But she
no
doesn't have to be
difference.
super into cigars. That was my point. But she has to be on board with what you
Yeah,
do and
she's not-
support
she's
you
not
in
that
your
into the
career.
cigar
Was she
industry.
prior?
Okay, good point.
Was she right?
Was she prior interested in you
Ooh, if I had
doing
a-
all this public figure
Look,
media and all these other
I've
things?
known
with
that-
cigars?
Said no,
I've known
Brian,
that
you saw that happen. You saw that. That was
10
pretty
or
good.
something, you know. So, and
kinda
I met her
sad
when I
that,
was 10.
to be
So
honest.
we kind of had that going. But it is legitimately a prerequisite of anyone who would marry me, right? That they have to.
Therefore, it was a prerequisite just as
It would
as
have to be.
ours, that they would accept us for that same
Yeah,
reason.
that they
For-
would have to be super into porn.
for the-
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Your wife isn't a politician herself, or she's not.
No, but she's into
politics.
politics in as much as a lot of our lives involve politics, going to public events, traveling
But that
around.
was
Like,
Does that mean
It
she was
at least
super?
that she would be okay
she means
with
she's
the
got to be like
involvement.
pretty into it. Yeah.
She was okay with the involvement. Therefore, our partners or future partners would be interested in
In our work.
respecting our work and having had
And
witnessed
understand
that
our work
or
and our
having accepted that that was our
dedication
past.
to
Yeah.
our-
Wait,
our
but I
How
don't think
many
that's-
men?
yeah.
Whoa, whoa,
So-
whoa, whoa, whoa! How many? You want your future partners to respect your past work?
Just as you
No,
respect
that's a question.
present
That's a
work.
question.
Just
Sorry,
as
sorry if I'm being a bit, huh?
respect in the sense that they don't shame you for it. Respect that they're not.
they
going
shouldn't
to tear
shame you, I
apart
agree.
That's a
from it.
big ask to be like.
That is
babe,
not a big
I
ask.
Not from the
hold on,
people
let me
that are
finish.
okay
No,
with
no, no, no.
it.
Stop. That is a really big ask.
No, it isn't.
For most men to be like, babe, I respect the fact that there are videos of you having
No,
having
I get that.
sexual intercourse with men who are not me on the internet. I'm sorry.
But
Okay.
the past is in the past. Like, why?
That's cuck territory.
I don't want
If it
you
is-
anyways.
if it is
Then,
the
if you're a
past. But we
judgmental
were
guy
talking about the
and
present.
like,
Judgmental.
I don't-
Not
that is
equivalent.
judgment. That
Judgment-
is judge. That
judgment-
is judging.
It is judgmental.
Judgmental.
It is judging, and that's a sin.
I don't think it is.
Not even-
Really,
It is.
Not really. No.
It is. You shouldn't judge people. You shouldn't be jealous.
You
of
shouldn't
other
judge people. Really?
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
But-
But,
but
it's not
shouldn't.
exactly
But
how
really
it works.
shouldn't.
But it's interesting.
You want to
some
read off
kernel
the
of
correct
truth.
Wait, hold on.
terminology first?
It's interesting that you say that men are the super judgmental when it comes to this specific thing. But we all know that women are far more sexually selective than men, and you judge men on a whole slew of criteria when it comes to who you're going to sleep with, have long-term relationships with, be
Grid
partnered
1
with, marry.
Motorsports donated $200. Brixon,
Delusion
time for the delusion calculator. No masculine man wants a P-star as a wife. The simps that will marry a 304 will eventually bore them. The only winner will be the divorce lawyers and pool boys.
Let me ask you guys, thank you, Grid One, for that. Let me ask you guys a question. Like, try to take yourself out of, this. Do you think if you were a man, when it comes to optimizing your potential choices when it comes to a partner, do you think it's a
Devon Jackson donated
that. Hold
$200. It's not in the past if I can pull it up today.
That's a very good point, Davon Jackson. Do you think that it's a suboptimal dating choice to date a woman who does or did pornography? Like, if he had the choice of dating a woman who didn't have nude photographs and videos on the internet, having videos and photographs of her having sexual intercourse with 1, 2, 3 other men,
That's a choice and a preference.
but would you acknowledge that it's suboptimal in some way?
No, because she probably gives better head.
Oh my
Is there perhaps more to life than that?
Okay.
I can see. My ex was not okay with me doing OnlyFans. Like, when I started, it was not okay. Like, we did end up filming content together, but he was not cool with. Like, he was not cool with me doing that.
You were
as a
dating
job.
before you started doing it?
Yeah, we. Yeah,
Why,
we were
why
still
would you,
dating.
why'd you start then?
OnlyFans?
That
Yeah.
money.
We were breaking up, and I was moving out.
We're breaking up.
Okay.
Well, I was also
yeah.
dating someone before doing OnlyFans and while doing OnlyFans, and all of their friends thought it was so cool.
I do want to try to switch gears a little bit